Dear friends, after centuries of technological progress and advances in international cooperation, the world is more connected than ever today. We call it globalized world. Globalization is a word used to describe the growing interdependence of the world's economies, cultures, and populations, brought about by cross-border trade in goods and services, technology, and flows of investment, people, and information. Countries have built economic partnerships to facilitate these movements over many centuries. We know this economic cooperation is manifested through World Bank, International Monetary Fund, we have Asian Bank, we have BRIC Bank, and so on and so forth. But the term gained popularity after the Cold War in the early 1990s, as these cooperative arrangements shaped modern everyday life. This is so important for us to notice how the world has changed today. Today, education also cannot be restricted to one area or one region or one nation. Respecting the local context and culture, we must educate our students to be global players. This need understanding of diverse cultural and linguistic awareness of the world around us. Only a global perspective can help to reduce the tensions of the world. That is why globalization and education are so interconnected and so important for us. As educationists, we must be aware of the changing world, both the negatives as well as the positives. As educationists, we must concentrate on the positives and to make necessary changes to face the world. When the world is trying to be one through globalization, there is also a move among people to be more narrow-minded, regionalized, and in politics too, much of jingoistic attitude in nature. For example, there is a surge of extreme nationalist movements in many parts of the world that negates the common good. True education must teach our kids to grow with a global perspective. That's our responsibility. That's our duty as educationists, as teachers. We must teach our kids to look at the world as one. Global citizenship thinking itself is a great step towards it. The global citizenship course by Educate Magis for all the Jesuit schools across the globe is a leap towards educating our students to be global citizens. When we look around the world, what we see and listen today is there are a lot of talks about globalization. But we can ask a pertinent question to ourselves. Is globalization happening to an extent that we expect today? But are we truly living in a globalized world? There are increased, varied forms of mobility around the globe. As I pointed out earlier, there are physical movement of people from one country to another happening much more than the previous years. Even in education, there is an increased student mobility from one country to another and from one university to another university. Today, students from different cultures, languages, regions, and religions sit in the same classroom and learn together. Similarly, several corporate companies today have people from different cultures working together for the same company. Multinational companies have set up their units practically everywhere in the world today. Many universities offer distant virtual courses that can be accessed by uh, any student from anywhere in the world. For example, the Jesuits have of late worldwide learning as an example. Thanks to internet and the virtual technologies and transportation, life became very different to the modern generation. The boundaries between home away, local and global, here and there are increasingly blurred. In short, one of the significant signs of globalization is the increased flow of information, people, products, and newer ideas around the globe. Jesuit schools enjoy a built-in network to establish connections, partnerships, and relationships around the world. Jesuit schools have built-in security, confidence, safety, local knowledge, and established presence, says one of the global identifiers of Jesuit schools. Number 3, we cannot assume that each member of the global community is equally living happily and safely. That's our experience. We know. We cannot say that the globe is peaceful and harmonious. Of course, there are inequality, injustice, discrimination, poverty, insurgency, terrorism, violence, hatred, conflict, war, oppression, literacy, drug trafficking, and pandemic type of epidemics prevail in some corners of the world. To solve these issues, global educators must come out with new way of educating our students. However, these are one side of development of globalization in the world. As I said, there are other signs that are not so encouraging to be eloquent about the world. Typical to the globe, where there is one side bright and the other side dark. Globalized world too has the brighter and darker sides. The Jesuits at the global level have already produced an excellent and balanced interpretation of globalization. Globalization and Marginalization, our global apostolic response, a studied document, a research document. An international task force drawn up for the Social Justice Secretariat of the Jesuits issued this document in a 55-page booklet. Globalization and Marginalization, that came out in the year 2006. This booklet gives a studied insight into the pros and cons of globalization. Two of the major points the document wanted to deliberate were, number one, the need for Jesuits to develop a critical global outlook in the people we educate and in our educational institutions. Number two is a lack of synergy among our institutions renders them unable to respond to the issues raised by interconnectedness. Successful non-governmental organizations in global civil society, such as the Greenpeace, know how to network in a global world and engage in the building of globalization from below in global civil society. And we, Jesuits, are an international organization. We have fantastic institutions everywhere. In fact, we are As the document says, the paradox is that the Jesuits sit on a stunning global network of schools, parishes, retreat centers, social institutes, research centers, and so on and so forth, but seem unable to connect them together or parlay their resources into effective global initiatives. They need to reflect much more on the global organizational logic of networking. This document has come in American Magazine in Jesuits and Globalization in 2007. Now remember, all these documents and deliberations have facilitated the Jesuit education as it is today. What do you see? When the Secretariat of Jesuit Education wanted to articulate the identifiers of Jesuit schools, one of the points came forth was global citizenship education. Educate Magis is promoting global citizenship education through its online course, much sought after course for Jesuit school teachers. To that end, global citizenship education should not be merely an add-on, but integrated into the core curriculum of any education. Catholic Church, other ecumenical organizations, even a progressive government's education policy must include global citizenship as one of its primary focus. This is a case when teachers and students incorporate global and cultural examples throughout their study, when communication skills that are globally mindful, inclusive, and effective are taught, when all disciplines are approached with an awareness of globalization and its impact on the 21st century learning, and when one's global and multicultural experiences are prioritized in student achievements and faculty hiring for mission. Global Identifiers number 3, 182 talks about this. The third global identifier of Jesuit school is that the Jesuit schools are committed to global citizenship. This means, it says, preparing students and their families to identify first and primarily as members of the human family with a common responsibility for the entire world rather than just members of a particular nation or group. This does not undermine or reduce the importance of local affinity or love for the nation to which one belongs to. By nature, Jesuits are global missionaries. Our Ignatian vision allows us to find God in all things and to set the world aflame with the warmth and light of God's saving love. Through global citizenship education, we help our students to be global citizens who truly see God in all things, to be driven by compassion, and to utilize the power of religion for justice and peace. Because we believe our faith and justice must go together to promote peace and harmony in the world. Where there is faith, there should be justice. And therefore, one of the essential elements of global citizenship education today is dialogue with cultures and religions. Dialogue at every levels, among ethnicity, culture, gender, regions, religions, and so on and so forth. To that end, global citizenship education should be cannot be merely a part-time job, but it should be an integrated form in the curriculum itself. Teachers and students incorporate global and cultural examples throughout their study, when communication skills that are globally mindful, inclusive, and effective are taught, when all disciplines are approached with an awareness of globalization and its impact on 21st century learning. And therefore, the entire educational pedagogy should lead students to understand and respect world cultures, respect and value diversity, be open to experiences of countries, customs, and cultures that are different from one's own, and to have a global perspective on social injustices. As far as possible, our schools should encourage conversational skills in foreign languages along with the mother tongue. Partnership between schools across the globe is easily possible, and collaborative programs among schools to examine global issues and initiate joint projects. It is also possible. This can be achieved only through better networking, students and teacher exchange programs, and technologically based exchanges such as connected classrooms, global seminars, courses, spiritual retreats, and multicultural community service programs. Students with the marginalized backgrounds should be given more opportunities. They should represent all these activities. And therefore, as I as I see the Catholic schools, the Christian schools, the progressive schools, especially the Jesuit schools, are inherently global and multicultural because we are a large global network. We are spread out in all the continents. Therefore, it is expected that we give and take our best practices to and from one another and enrich our global vision and mission. Global citizenship is a great initiative towards forming a global community with respect and dialogue, as I said, with other cultures and nations, which is very, very important today. We must concentrate on multicultural exchanges more than ever today. The Educate Magis provides a web-based platform for all our institutions and educators to engage one another in this dynamic and creative process. I'm sure all our schools, the church schools, Catholic schools, must ensure that our schools and educators will utilize the opportunities that are in front of us through uh, Global Compact proposed by Pope Francis and the Jesuit initiative that is called Educate Magis, etc., to promote a global citizenship outlook to our educators first and to our teachers, so that our world may be a better place to live in for everyone, for the generations to come. Thank you very much, and God bless you all.